right. Well, welcome to the Boss Networking Group, Business Ownership Simplified for Success, for business owners to make business ownership easier. And today we have a great guest, my friend from Oregon. One of our members, well, actually a lot of members, asked us to find some experts on LinkedIn, how they can increase their viewership, increase their engagement, asked a lot of questions. And so for at least a year, I've been searching for someone and came across somebody. Wendy Maynard, how are you?
I'm so wonderful, and I'm so excited to be here and talk to all your members today. Thank you so much for having me on. So I think about LinkedIn in a I call it my four-lever framework, four-lever LinkedIn framework. And there's four levers that are really important to pull, if you will, to dial in. And so the first is the profile. That is that you can continue to evolve this as you are finding what works and what isn't. So it shouldn't really be a static piece of your LinkedIn presence. The other thing that people may not realize is that the profile is driven in a large part by keywords. So LinkedIn actually has a powerful search tool built in. So by having keywords in your about section, in your experience section, woven through your entire profile, you can actually help your ability to get found. So for example, for me, a lot of people find someone like me under business coach. It's not necessarily what I would call myself, but I know that people are searching for that term. And so I do include that as keywords throughout my profile. So those are two things that I just want to say that aren't necessarily talked about that much. One is that you can continue to improve it over time, and two, that the keywords really help you get found. But everybody has underneath their about section a little dashboard. And if you click on profile views and click through that and scroll down, you can find the terms that people are finding you for. As an entrepreneur, we're really building our profile as a landing page. So if you think of a page on your website that showcases what you offer to your clients and potential clients, that's really the way to contextualize what you're putting there. It's not an online CV. If you're a job seeker, totally different approach. But as entrepreneurs, we've got to shift that frame. And so that's one of the things. Like if you don't want to be found for something in a past career and it's affecting your search, get rid of it. So the next lever that I really like to think about is the audience. And so I know that a lot of people talk about finding your ideal client, and I'm sure everybody listening knows who their ideal client is, but you want to have your profile dialed in and the content that you create really helping to educate and inform that specific person. You want to dial in your content for the person who is your ideal client. And one of the things that I like to think about too is what is the life cycle? Where are they in their business journey? And so, for example, I'll take an example of a website designer because I've had a lot of clients of website designers. You may be someone who helps startups in business who are just getting started with their website. Or conversely, you may be helping small to mid-sized businesses who have, let's say, 10 to 100 employees. Those two entities have very different problems when it comes to their website. One is probably optimizing and making it better for generating leads. The other is just really first getting started and needs to start telling the world about themselves. So you really need to be clear, not only on your ideal client, who they are, but where they are in their life cycle and what their specific problems and desires are. And that's something that I think is a nuance that gets lost. But once you can start dialing in your content, which is the third lever, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but once you can really start dialing that in, your success becomes so much more important. And you want to think of those specific pain points, creating content to address them, as well as in your profile, you want to have content, and then the solutions that you provide. And it really should be transformative. And you want to talk about those things. You can also add to your audience and really should be adding connections every single day so that you grow your audience over time. And I have a lot of different ways to find people to add to your audience, but I'll just give a couple of ideas. One is LinkedIn groups are not good for much. LinkedIn groups are really hard to get visibility. They created them a while ago, and unfortunately, LinkedIn has not done significant improvements to them in a long time, and I wish they would, but here we are. However, there are huge LinkedIn groups of really targeted people, and in a way, it's like fishing in a stocked pond filled with the fish that you want, that you can add connections to. Because once you're a member of the group, it's so easy to just add those people as connections. So let's just say you focus on, well, I'll use my website designer. Let's say my website designer builds websites for therapists. You could find a group of therapists and mental health professionals and so on, and then add them as audience members and invite them to have connections. So that's one way. In terms of creating your content, there are a few things that I see entrepreneurs doing, which I think I want to talk about a few things that are like blatant mistakes and are going to get you hurt by the algorithm. And I'm not going to get too geeky, so don't get scared. But then I'm going to talk about things which really won't help you with your audience. So the first thing is, and I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing this, is don't put links in your post. LinkedIn does not like, and actually this is true of all the platforms. Instagram, you can't even do it, but Facebook will do the same thing. Don't put links in your post because it'll depress your reach. The platforms want people to stay on their platform. You're sending people off the site will depress your reach. The algorithm will go, nope, we're not going to feed this out to a bunch of people. So don't do that. So the one place that you can put a YouTube video and not get dinged for it is your featured section in your about section. There's actually a featured area. You can edit it. And if you have YouTube videos that are particularly compelling and you want to showcase, you can put them there. The other thing that you can do, and what I would recommend, is writing a post. Text-based posts are going to get you the best performance on LinkedIn. And I'll talk just in a moment about images because everybody asked me this. Text-based posts are going to get you the best results. But if you want to summarize a YouTube video and then you want to take people there, you can say something in your post like, I'll drop the full link in the comments. And then just drop it in your comment section. That will not get you penalized. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is really weird, and this is not an algorithm issue. This is a LinkedIn quirky audience thing. A lot of people will start out kind of sprinkling in quotes from other people, like a graphic of it, selfies, infographics, things like that. So images of some sort. There's nothing that will ding you from the algorithm perspective about having an image. However, LinkedIn audiences are a funny bunch, and they will tend to not engage when you put graphics attached to your post, except in the case of someone who's very intentionally shaping their brand, because I can give you exceptions to that rule. So I know one woman who is I think she's either a marketer or brand strategist for the automotive industry, huge following. Every single post, she's got a selfie. Her audience has been trained to expect this and like it. It is part of her brand that she has built, very successful. But she started from day one. It's pretty much, I'm always going to post a selfie of myself, right? You have to kind of train your audience. There's another fellow I know on LinkedIn. He's a copywriter. He writes really, really hysterical copy and always has a funny GIF. Again, his brand now is completely tied to those funny GIFs. And you'd almost be like, where's your GIF today, James? Right? His name's James. And his audience has been trained. So if you want it to be part of your brand, be incredibly intentional and consistent, then you can grow your audience. But what I see people do is not that. It's like, oh, I want to try to get engagement. So I'm going to throw a quote out here and a GIF out here and a graphic out here. And some posts will be text-based. And I can tell you right now, because the LinkedIn audiences are a funny bunch, if you have an idea for a brand that you want to build and it includes images, GIFs, whatever, great, but do it every single time and be patient. If not, just go with text-based posts. But I like to say that because I see people kind of, like I said, all over the place. So let's dive into content. So there's a lot of things around this, but the first thing that I would like to say is I think it's really important that everybody focus on what I call your get known factors. So these are really 1 to about 3 categories of content that you're committed to posting about. And I just had a post today where I talk about boring yourself makes you money. The truth is that we are not writing for ourselves. And if you are bored with your content, you're just getting to the point where you're about ready to repeat yourself 1,000,000 more times and you'll greatly increase your sales. But there's new people coming into your audience every single day. You really want to get seen as a subject matter expert. So your 1 to 3 content buckets, if you will, are the topics that you want your brand to get known for. And so it's going to be different for everyone, but you want to educate, inform, entertain your audience with your content. So that's the first thing that I want to say. And for me, it's LinkedIn. Talk a lot about LinkedIn, premium pricing, because the methodology that I teach to my clients is creating signature offers that are premium price, and then organic marketing, which is the opposite of using advertising. I'm not an expert in ads. So I talk about growing your presence online using organic content, organic marketing. The second piece that not enough entrepreneurs focus on, but it is just so insanely important, is what I call the headline. It's the first line of your post. And so the first line of your post is really, it's the hook that is getting people to stop the scroll. So in your first line, be provocative, ask a question, say something surprising. You want people, because think about how people, I usually use my phone to demonstrate this, right? Here I am, right? I'm scrolling, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm scrolling. There's no penalty for just keeping going. But what you want to do is you want to say something that gets them to stop, look at your post, and here's another thing is the content is truncated. So you get to see the first 3 lines. And then if they're excited, they click see more. So you really want not only to stop the scroll with the first line, but then in the next 2 lines, you want to entice them to click that see more button. When you hit the see more button, that invokes something in the algorithm. It's called dwell time. And it basically means someone is stopping to look at your post. They're dwelling on your post. And this is actually awesome because it rewards you for not just getting people who engage on your content, but what I call lurkers. It's the people who are the learners, the silent readers of your content. And a lot of times the lurkers are actually the buyers. They may not ever engage, but you'll find someone will come to you and says, I've been reading your stuff for a year. I'm ready. Let's go. The next thing is when you write your content, people tend not to think about mobile devices enough, but I think we're up to about 57% of users on LinkedIn are using mobile devices, which is a tiny little skinny screen. And so I know some of your listeners who are really, they really like their grammar, not going to like what I have to say, but 1-sentence paragraphs are your best friend. Bullet points, white space, create that in a post. The reason is when you go to a 2 to 3 sentence paragraph, even though it's completely what your English teacher taught you to do, it looks like a mass of text, especially on a mobile device. And we're all scrolling. We're all busy. I like to think of people on the internet as like mosquitoes on meth, right? They're like, buzzing around, and we got to get your attention, and we got to hold their attention, right? Your eyeball, your ability to catch eyeballs is everything. And so really create a lot of white space, lead people down that paragraph. And then at the bottom, always have some sort of call to action, even if it's as simple as, a statement that kind of hits home with your post, or an invitation to do, make a comment, ask them a question, ask them what their best tip is. You want to think about creating a collaborative community where you guys are all participating in the conversation. The more that you can make people feel like they're in community with you, the more they're going to come back to you again and again. The more people you have engaging, the more reach you get on LinkedIn. And then even if and this is really important, even if your engagers never buy from you, we love them because they get us seen by those lurkers who are often our true buyers. So the last lever of the 4-lever LinkedIn framework is DMs. And this is a big topic, and I could probably talk for an hour just about direct messaging. My approach to DMs is really being in it for the marathon, not doing what I call pitch vomiting the first time you connect with someone, start talking to them, because nobody likes that. They're going to put up their defenses. The most important thing is to realize, and again, it comes back to this ideology, this mindset of building community, building relationships. When you build relationships and your network, amazing things can happen. The doors to all kinds of opportunities can open. So don't necessarily expect that person that you just connected with is going to be your client. They may or they may not be. When we make that assumption, we not only turn them off, but we close the doors to so many other great things that could happen. So for example, me being here, that's a chance to reach more people, right? And so it could be that connection could be a referral source. It could be that connection could feature you on a podcast or a training. It could be that person you don't even know. But great things can happen when we build relationships. So really go into your DMs with that mindset, be in it for the marathon.
Well, Wendy, it's been a pleasure you being here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with our audience. I know all these tips are great. You have some contact information. I know you have some courses to offer. Some of them are even free. I've been through them. I go through the ones that there is an investment, but it is well worth the investment. So go ahead and share with everybody what those courses and tools are.
Absolutely. So for anyone who wants to dig deeper into the 4-lever LinkedIn framework and find out more about that, hear me talk more about the algorithm, content, all the things, you can go to thelinkedInclass.com and sign up for I have a free webinar. At the end of that, I will tell you about my program, which is called LinkedIn Lead Mastery. And in there, we go really deep into all of this stuff. And you'll learn some from the masterclass. You'll learn a lot more, but wherever you decide to go on this journey with me, I'm welcome to have, I welcome you. The other thing to do is just come and hit the follow button on my LinkedIn profile. You'll just have to, I think Michael will have it in his show notes, but if you go to LinkedIn and look up my name, Wendy Maynard, you'll find it. I also have in my featured section a link to a guide. It's called the 7 Deadly LinkedIn Sins. So you can download that as well. And that will give you some things to not do and then how to correct them.
Very cool. Well, it's all great stuff. I am a big advocate for you, testimonial for you. I assure all of our audience that the stuff works. Now, I will say it does take time like anything else. And one of the questions that I'm often asked, because they have noticed, some people have noticed the increase in engagement of posts and things like that of mine, and they say, how much time do you spend? And I say, what's required? In the past, I was just doing it to build followers because I thought that's what you're supposed to do, post engaging post. But with you, I've learned how to do it very specifically to the target audience. So some days I may spend an hour total, 15 minutes doing this, 15 that. Some days it may be 2 or 3 hours. And the way I look at it is I'm prospecting. So that time that I prospect, that's what I'm doing versus in the past I was trying to build followers, which I think most people do if they're not educated to know specifically what to do. So I just want to throw that in as one last comment. Anything else before we go?
No, I think that this has been amazing. Happy to answer any questions that any of your members have after listening to this. So feel free to DM me too. I'm very warm. I'm very approachable. And like I said, I like to just have conversations. So feel free to DM me. I'll answer you in the DMs, or if you want to post on a comment on one of my posts, any of those things, I'm happy to answer you. It has been just an absolute delight to be on here with you. I appreciate you having me, and I'm excited to get to know some of your members over on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. I'll encourage them after we hang up here. So I appreciate it again. So boss, reach out to Wendy and increase your followers and be able to monetize your LinkedIn efforts.